Welcome to Beyond the Cage, which is Banjan. Today we have Reuben with us. Reuben, I want to jump directly to the point. I wanted to talk generally your strategies for general health and fitness for the normal people and also for athletes. How do you strategize these things?
So when you start off, right, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or a regular person. The guidelines pretty much remains the same. So they have to meet their physical activity guidelines. They have to take care of their nutrition, and everything has to go as the way it's supposed to. It doesn't change much. Say what happens is when an athlete starts off, he thinks he has to do something different or something extraordinary just because he's playing a sport. But the thing is, the guidelines, which is getting enough cardiovascular activity, getting strength training, that's what is important. The minimum thing that when an athlete starts, or what I look at is he meeting the minimum required physical activity, which means at least easy training 2x strength training if he's doing strength training twice a week.
How do you measure it basically?
So it's anything related to, say, lifting weights. So usually compound movements is what is recommended, which involves multiple muscle groups, and an endurance activity. And it can be to start off a steady state cardio, where you just go for your long run, or it can be very high intensity cardio. And if you're doing high intensity cardio, the duration that's required for your general health is minimized. Say you can get in just 75 minutes of rigorous intensity cardio per week, and that should be enough for your cardiovascular health
75 minutes per week. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're choosing something that is, say, 150 minutes, if you're going for 150 minutes, then it can be moderate intensity or lighter intensity, like a jog.
So this is for the
This is
general
for the
people.
general population.
Okay,
This is what
okay.
everybody has to be doing. So the guidelines is 150 to 300 minutes of steady state cardio, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity cardio. And initially, if somebody is starting off MMA, I would recommend them to meet at least this before moving into the next stages. Because the moment they start meeting their physical activity guidelines, they're going to see an improved health situation.
What are the indicators basically?
So indicators, obviously, they'll be much stronger. They don't go out of breath very easily, because what's happening is the resting heart rate is reducing. The heart rate is, they're able to do much more with lower heart rate. Say what happens is when a person is sedentary, the capillaries are going to really narrow down. So what happens is the heart rate goes up. So if you measure a resting heart rate of any sedentary individual, it's going to be very high. But if you measure an athlete's heart rate, or somebody who's extremely fit, it'll be in their 40s or 50s, which shows that the heart is performing really well. Say, for example, it has to pump 10 liters of blood. I'm just giving you a random example. It can do it in just 50 beats, compared to a sedentary individual the heart has to beat like 90 times to do the same amount of work. So what happens here is, obviously they're going to see an improvement in their performance. They're not going to be as tired as they were when they were unfit. They're going to recover faster. And because they're strength training, say I said compound movements like they're squatting, they're lunging, they're pushing heavy weights, they're going to see that improvement in their on their mat when they are performing there.
So when you mentioned the resting heart rate, right, Reuben? So I also check my athletes when they're especially in the camp to understand what kind of are they recovered or not. But you just told about the capillaries. So why does it differ when for example, they're in camp? So why does it differ? Like what changes happen anatomically? Like
So what's happening is, it's just an adaptation to the imposed demand. So say when you start running or when you start performing very intense activities, your extremities need that amount of blood flow. So what has to happen is, it's called as blood shunting, meaning the heart has to pump enormous amount of blood to your limbs to make sure the work is being done. And for this, what has to happen is the capillaries has to widen. This won't happen if there's no demand. So when they start getting involved in physical activities, this demand is there, so the body responds by widening its capillaries and allow for more blood flow. So what's happening is the heart is able to pump a lot more blood in a single beat than what they were used to before. So all this is going to result in a much better performance. That's why, say, if you're starting off somebody, say somebody is very sedentary, is unhealthy, carrying excess adiposity, you'll notice that he'll do much worse than compared to a guy who's pretty fit when they start off. I'm not talking about the high-level athletes. A lot of things change. But at that level, you will see a guy who's fit doing much better on the mat than a person who is sedentary and unhealthy. So initially, when they start off, what I make sure is they're meeting their physical activity guidelines. And then as we proceed, it can get more specific.
So you were talking about body composition. Like, can you explain it a little bit in details?
So usually, are you aware how people are categorized? Say, for example, there's something called as BMI.
Yes, sir.
Say if you're below this, you're underweight.
Correct.
And it's above this, you're overweight.
Yeah, correct.
And things like that. This does a pretty good job at identifying who's carrying excess fat or adiposity in a general population. But this doesn't do a very good job when it comes to athletes. Because BMI doesn't differentiate between muscle mass and fat. So when you stand on the weighing scale, say two people, they're both 80 kilos. But one person is extremely fit and lean. For example, I am close to 90 kilos. And there can be another guy who's 90 kilos who looks fat, who's obese. So what's happening is the body composition, what composes the body is changing. So it's the fat-free mass that we're talking about. How much muscle is a person carrying? And what's the fat percentage that he's carrying, the amount of fat. So the idea is to keep the fat levels low and the muscle mass high.
So, I want you to explain our viewer, like, how can you measure a body fat or something, like body composition? Because generally there are like these BMI machines and all that which are not accurate at all. But what are the tools available in the market where, a general guy, a fighter who lives in, far places, not near to the city or something, how he can do that?
Sometimes it's pretty straightforward. You can tell somebody, yeah, this guy really needs to lose. Sometimes it's not easy. Visually, especially taller individuals, they look lean, they look fine, but they may be carrying excess adiposity and low muscle mass. And this is going to impact their, performance, health, and everything that you could think of. That's why I feel most of them have this notion that if you're an athlete, you're healthy. But that's not really true. You can be an athlete and be extremely unhealthy.
How do you know that he is unhealthy, being an athlete?
One of the parameters I look at is the body composition. Like I told you, is he carrying enough muscle mass? Is his fat acceptable, within acceptable limits? And there are different ways to measure body fat percentage. You have the caliper method. The gold standard is the DEXA scan.
Correct, yeah.
DEXA scan. But generally, you don't need this until they reach a certain stage.
Correct.
So you can judge. If you have a trainer, he'll definitely use a caliper to measure your body fat percentage, and he'll tell you, okay, you know what, you have to lose these many kilos, and it's going to result in a good outcome.
So, like in the market, generally in the fitness industry, the most trending thing is to lose weight. But when I think we were speaking, 1 year back and all that, you told that, putting on muscles is the best strategy to lose fat. Can you explain that to our viewers?
With Indians and Asians, you will notice this body type, and it's pretty common. It's called as skinny fat.
Correct.
Generally.
True.
So what happens is, this guy goes to a doctor. Obviously, usually, unfortunately, doctors are not really aware of body composition and everything. Yes. He's just going to look at your weight. He's going to look at your height and say, hey, your BMI is fine. Yeah. But the truth is, this guy has extremely low muscle mass. Yeah. And low muscle mass is going to cause a lot of issues. And he's going to carry a lot of fat. So they'll have skinny arms, skinny legs, and they'll have a huge belly. Have you seen that body composition?
I have seen a lot of.
So in these cases, what I immediately do is make sure this guy puts on some muscle mass.
Okay.
And that is by resistance training, by weight training, and by fixing his nutrition. So usually if you notice his nutrition, it will be high on carbohydrates, but low on proteins. So I would make sure all these things are in place before moving to the next stages. And by no means do I mean that they need to stop training or pause training or wait to get fit to start training. I never say that. A lot of people are of this opinion. They come and tell me, hey, Reuben, you know what? I'm not in shape, so I don't want to start MMA. That's pretty ridiculous because you have to start MMA and you got to do this because MMA itself will take care of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just mentioned nutrition. So, how important is nutrition, first of all, for general person? And how do you strategize in your case?
So nutrition is extremely, extremely important for health. And health and performance are very closely related. It actually lies in the same spectrum. The better your performance is, the better your health is usually. Say, for example, it's very unlikely a person who runs, say, 5K or 10K, who lifts heavy weights, generally his health outcomes are usually better. So it lies in the same spectrum.
Like generally, the market, like initially, I think 10, 12 years back, it was for us when I was an athlete, so it was just protein and fat was bad that time and carbohydrates was your friend. So now carbs is bad, fat is very good, which I also personally believe that fats are very good. It's very important, and obviously protein is needed. Everybody knows, but with that there has been a lot of changes where minerals are coming into the picture, and a lot of things. What is your take on this?
So my take is, again, the general guidelines is pretty solid and clear. So if I'm talking to somebody who doesn't like to track their diet very closely, who doesn't like to track their macros. So when I say macros, it's about proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And to just settle this debate, all the three are important. So anybody who says that it only has to be proteins, you don't need carbohydrates and fats, they're just wrong.
Yeah, everything has a role.
Carbohydrates is the preferred fuel.
Yes,
That's what fuels your training and your performance.
Yeah.
And proteins are the building blocks of your body.
Correct.
And fats play a very important role in, of course, the insulation as well as regulating hormones. So you can't lose any of these. And there are a few vitamins which are fat soluble, which means that you need to have adequate fat in your diet to make sure that all your processes are going pretty well. The only thing that changes, there are quite a few things that changes, but majority remain the same between an athlete and a regular individual. Say, for example, a regular individual can get away with 1.1, 1.3 grams of protein per day. An athlete may require much, much higher because he's looking to put on muscle mass at a much rapid pace. And the breakdown is also much higher with his resistance training so his protein intake has to go up. His calories has to go up, total calories. Say if you're sedentary, obviously your requirement will be much lower than somebody who's training 2x a day. So all this has to be matched. And you just spoke about macros. There's a pretty straightforward way to fix it. You just include wide range of fruits and vegetables in your diet that is of different colors. So that way you take care of your vitamins and minerals as well.
So for the general crowd, actually, when I speak with a lot of upcoming athletes, they're very confused with the nutrition part. So the thing is because there is a lot of internet literature. So generally, everybody knows that you need protein, you need carbs for performance, and you need fats and all that. But in today's age, where influence are playing a major role, someone like, for example, Ankit, right? 75 hard, 75 challenge hard, 75 hard it is called, right? Yeah, Ankit Bayanpuria. So basically, see, his diet consists of half kg ghee per day and 1 kg of curd daily. Half kg of ghee, like I love ghee, but I'll be scared to have half kg of ghee. And Obviously he's working very hard, but I don't see my athlete, like I'm 100% sure that my athletes are working much harder than that. I know the number of hours, the training routine is just crazy. It's like there is nothing remaining. If there is a scope, I will take that scope also to, fill the training routine. But half kg of ghee, and for me, like I don't know, like I even like having so much of experience, even I'm confused, like how does that work?
Obviously he's not doing the right thing. I'll tell you what about the culture of Instagram and the general social media is. You have extreme views, you're going to get viewers.
Yeah, that's true.
Say, for
That's very
example,
true.
if I say something as extreme as everybody should eat just plants and nothing else,
Yes.
you're going to see all vegetarians and vegans like just jump in and say, yes, this is the way to
Yes.
go about it.
Yeah.
Or if I say you got to eat just meat, man,
Just
it's
meat.
all about meat,
Yeah.
you're going to have a fan following.
Yeah.
But you say something boring like, hey, man, you know what? You need your carbs, you need your proteins, you need your fats, you need wide range of fruits and vegetables to achieve health, and they're going to be like, that's
It's
boring.
not a popular opinion.
It's not boring. And they're like, oh, in that case, why is there so much adiposity? Why are so many people who are carrying excess adiposity if the guidelines are in place? The truth is, majority of them don't follow it. Say, for example, whenever you read a nutrition label, you'll notice that this is 30% of your total calorie intake. Say, for example, usually men burn around 2,500. So what happens is if you consume 2,500, you're going to maintain your fat levels at 2,500. You start consuming fewer than 2,500, you're going to lose fat.
So you're talking about reducing the calories, right?
Reducing the calories.
Okay.
So you're going to lose fat. Approximately you consume, say, you make a deficit of 3,500 calories. It's going to roughly result in a pound of fat loss.
Okay. So when you cut calories, like you cut on muscles and fat both, right?
So it again depends on the individual, his goals and everything else. But normally what you got to do is keep your protein intake up so that you preserve your muscle mass while on a deficit. In fact, it's a good idea to increase your protein intake when you're cutting so that your muscle mass remains and your training remains pretty much the same, and you're cutting your calories off from carbohydrates and fats.
Okay, you need to cut fat also.
In that case, something has to go. The calories has to give in. And like I said, it's usually what's happening with people is that excess amount of calories that they're consuming. Say before it wasn't easy to consume that many calories. Say in the place that I was born in, you rarely had access to calorie dense foods like pizza or burger. To eat 1,000 calories, you got to eat a lot. Before that, you'll feel full. But these days, you can just go out, order a pizza, and you have 1,500 calories.
Yes, true.
And people will be like, why am I not losing fat? Why is my body composition not changing? That's because your calorie intake is so much more higher than what your body actually needs.
Is it like something regards to carbs? Because I've noticed one thing. I personally have noticed one thing. So when I eat chicken with rice, I can eat 1 kg of chicken, okay? But when I am having only chicken with small vegetable serving, I can't eat, I think, more than 250 gram or probably 300 gram. It just changes.
Exactly.
Why is
Yes.
that?
So this concept called hyperpalatability, which is nothing but the food being extremely delicious,
Okay.
which makes it very easy to consume. Say for example, I give you a kilo of grilled chicken,
Yeah.
and I tell Jitesh, you got to eat as much as you want to.
Probably I'll eat.
You'll eat and you may clock in like say 600 calories, and then I give you an ice cream. That's worth 1,500 calories or so. Or I'll
Yeah.
give you a better example, a biryani with a delicious, it's delicious and it carries like 1,500 calories. You'll eat that in no time and you'll be good for
Yeah, actually.
some
Oh
more.
my
So
God.
certain foods seem to have this nature where you tend to overdo it.
Yeah.
And there are certain foods that can be consumed in moderation.
Yeah, I think for me it's one of the thing is rice. Give me rice and I think
Exactly. So carbs can do that to you,
Okay.
but so can a lot of other things. Sugar can do that to you. That's why I don't like blaming one macro or one particular thing. You can either be overdoing fat, like this person you spoke about is overdoing. You can either overdo carbohydrates, or you can overdo protein as well. Anything that results in calories going higher than what your body burns, it's going to result in adiposity. So protein has got 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates has 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9 calories per gram. But here's where I feel if you're ever overdoing something, right? Overdo protein. The reason being, there's something called as thermic effect of food, meaning how much calories your body burns by digesting that particular macro. And it seems to be very high for proteins, relatively high for proteins. So your body is going to expend so much more energy just trying to digest it compared to, yeah.
So I also wanted to ask you, like, we spoke about the strength and all that. So how do you program your strength and hypertrophy program for general people and especially for athletes? Because if viewers, I think if they don't know, like, you work very closely with Clinton, and I've seen tremendous change in him. And I also want to talk about injury because that's where we met. And I truly believe, man, you're one of the best actually I have worked with. I definitely want to touch it, but yeah, I want to talk about, like, how do you strategize your program for hypertrophy and strength for general people, and how does it change for athletes?
Okay, so here's the thing. The program actually doesn't change much for an athlete versus a regular person. The adaptation, it's a human body, so adaptations is going to be pretty similar. So what drives strength? So when I talk about strength, I want to make it clear that I'm talking about force production. How much force a particular athlete is able
Able
to
to generate, correct.
produce, or a human is able to produce. So the key here to drive that particular adaptation is intensity. Say, for example, I'm training 4 repetitions, but I'm lifting heavy. What I'm going to get better at? What am I going to get better at? I'm going to get better at producing force. So that seems to be the key for strength. So if you want to program somebody for strength, you're going to keep the weights high and the repetitions low.
Correct.
So it's both the nervous system adaptation as well as the hypertrophy coming in to help you produce that level of force. So initially, when what happens is you do anything and it results in strength gain.
Very true, very true.
It's very straightforward. That's why people think, oh, anything works. It's not really. So when you start off, you haven't done anything.
Yeah, everything works.
Everything works. But say if you're dealing with somebody like Clinton, who's been training for quite some time, your program has to be on point to drive those adaptations. So the one key thing is keeping the repetitions low, but the intensity high, and then reaching very close to failure. Say, for example, you pick a weight of 100 kilos, you can do 10 repetitions, but you're doing just 6. Now, don't expect that to drive a meaningful adaptation. And that's why every now and then it's a pretty good idea to push it to failure so that you know exactly where you stand. But while doing this, you have to make sure you're training with a professional to make sure you're safe and you're actually prepared for the load that you're loading.
So basically, when you said you push to the, like, to the failure, like, is it like a strategy where you shock the body? Like, for example, you change the exercise and shock the body, and or is it like the same exercise you're pushing through? Like, for example, if I say squat, so is it like that compound exercise, the squat remains the same, or do you change it?
It really depends, but usually it remains the same.
Same, okay.
So if somebody comes to me and says that, you know what, I'm not getting strong enough, first thing I would make sure is this guy is training hard enough. Lot of times what happens is I'm training an athlete and he says, I'm done. And I'll be like, no, push through and give me 4 more repetitions.
Correct, true.
You saw what has happened,
Very
that
true.
he's giving away those repetitions, otherwise he could have
Yes,
had. So our body adapts whenever there's a challenge.
challenge, correct, true, very true. Yeah.
So the moment there's that need to produce more force, your body invariably responds by producing more force over a period of time.
I want to talk about Clinton here a little bit because generally people don't know, but Clinton is one of the strongest, like he's a freak of a nature in terms of strength. People who have fought him knows it, but generally he, like, because he is not on social media, he doesn't put that on display because he is a very technical fighter. But everybody who has sparred with Clinton talks about that, his strength, his brute strength. Like, I also know it's a lot of genetics and he works hard and all that, but what did you, like, how did you do that to him? Like, how did he, you understand like what I'm trying to ask?
See, yeah, I get that. First thing about Clinton is he trusts me.
Yes, that's very important.
When I say something that to get this particular adaptation, you got to do something, he's there with me 100%. That session, I tell him that we have to push heavy. He's going to push heavy. I know, I work with quite a few athletes, right? And I see this
Sense of doubt.
sense of doubt, and there's this, they're not really pushing, they'll just back off. But with Clinton, he doesn't even ask anything, he just trusts me and goes for it. That's the first thing. And second thing is the consistency. My God, he has to travel all the way from Banargata to my place, which is in Whitefield. He does it through traffic. He just comes right on time and does exactly what has to be done. Either the strength or power or endurance, or no matter how grueling the session is, he's going to go through. And then you spoke about genetics, right? That does play a role. This guy is a freak. He is a freak. The kind of force production that you see when you're training with him is so amazing. He is strong, incredibly strong. And we have just taken it to another level by working more on it. And you can't even say it's pure genetics because no one shows the kind of consistency this guy does. So how can I tell confidently that, you know what, if he's not training and if he's strong, I would have just told that. But this guy is...
I think I have met a lot of gifted guys, and that gift kills them. Because these guys don't want to work hard, and that literally kills. And one thing you told about Clinton, about heat trusting, I'll tell you why I could create Clinton Kenyon Decruz is because the way he trusts me. And in these many years of career, like I have worked with many athletes, the one single dude who trusts me like crazy is this guy, okay? And it's very easy to work with him. For me, it's, yeah, personally, we, like, if you see in the gym, we are like Tom and Jerry. People call us Tom and Jerry because we keep arguing about politics, this, that, and all, everything. But the thing is, in terms of training, it's very easy to manage Clinton. Like, I don't need to trust, I don't need to explain him something, but the more I explain him, right, it is like we are in the same parameters. So for example, Clinton is the only athlete whom, like, when I speak on phone, we can fix techniques. We don't need to be on mat. So when you said that thing about Clinton, that, you know, he trusts people, I think that is the biggest gift he has, and he's very easy to work. I'll tell you, I have senior people to him, senior fighters to him, and I have fighters who are junior to him. They don't have that quality like Clinton.
Exactly, that quality is extremely rare. And I'll tell you something about Clinton. There's usually you'll see athletes, maybe their pulling strength is a little off, or their pushing strength is a little off, or their upper body is pretty strong but their legs are a little weak. This guy is a freak in every section. He pulls, he pushes, and he squats and
he's a
lunges
freak,
heavy.
man. He is a freak.
Extremely amazing.
Like people, there are certain positions in BJJ when someone holds, and I'm talking about guys who are very good, high level grapplers. I don't want to take names. They have told, you know, this guy is like something else, like the way he controls. But it's like when you see on the TV, you'll not understand. Like, for example, people saw Khabib is great, but they never understood he was more than hand, he was fighting with his legs. But when he, after retirement, when he explained it, people understood. But that particular time, no one understood. So Clinton has that strength, and obviously he is just he's very technical, very sharp. Like all this quality makes him like extremely dangerous. People don't understand, but that is a quality which makes him very, very dangerous. Now I want to come to my favorite topic. See, Reuben, I really, really look up to you in injury rehabilitation and injury prevention and all that. You are just simply good, man. Because I myself have got back injury. I really didn't believe that I can lift again. By the way, leave BJJ and all that. I still am not so mobile for BJJ for doing lot of guard works and all that, but man, and it was so simple. And there were things which you told me to do. It was against my beliefs. See, I'm not a great guy. I understand what is injury and all that, but like I want you to talk about injury rehabilitation and injury prevention. And first of all, how did you get into this? Like, and how did you get so good in this?
So I think it's the personal experience. I was a cricketer before, an ex-athlete who was pretty serious about the game, and I was somebody who went through quite a few injuries. And the support that you get for injuries in here is just horrible. It's scary advice.
Even at
I
the top,
remember-
it's bad. Huh? Even at the
Sorry?
top, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's very bad,
Exactly. I can see it. So I remember the first time I got injured, we went to this orthopedic doctor who was my neighbor. I've been seeing him as a kid, and he saw me in a lot of pain. And back pain is you know it's excruciating. This guy is like, "What have you done to yourself? This is the end of your career. You got to stop bowling. You got to stop playing and just try to live a normal life. From here on, I'm not even sure if you'll be able to pick a bucket of water. Your spine and everything looks pretty bad. Previously, a doctor had asked for MRI, and it did show some herniation. And he said, "This is unacceptable, and this is the end of your career." I was really sad, but somehow I wasn't ready to accept that fact that something could be coming to an end this abruptly. As an athlete, that's another thing that helps athletes recover better. Everybody would have thought about just getting rid of the pain and getting back to their... I was thinking about how do I get back on the field. Even in the worst case scenario, I'm always thinking about how do I get back on the field and who can help me do this. And I remember some suggestions coming in that you have to just try exercise. I was like, how ridiculous. I mean, I'm meeting some of the best experts in the field and they're telling I can't do it. And you're just telling me that I have to start strengthening and getting better. And that's how I started SNC, Strength and Conditioning. And I was like, this is magical, man. It's improving my back. The pain levels are coming down and I was back on field. And that was the time I fell in love with this thing. And I was like, I want to do it for the rest of my life. And that's what started this journey off. And that's why it's so close to my heart. And that's why I feel for the past decade, I've been able to help so many athletes get back when they've been told that they'll never be able to get back. That's why I get really triggered when I see some posts or something fear-mongering about...
I follow you, yeah. On Instagram.
some posts about BJJ is ruining your joints and bodies. I'm like, no, stop it. It's not ruining. It's actually helping your health. So
I remember when I injured my back and you made me do a little bit exercise and all that, and you told that you have to start lifting. I had a sense of doubt. Why are you making me lift? And I was like, I don't know. At that time, I was like, okay, I injured my back because of some stupid move, and like it's simple, but because of the internet literature, it's quite opposite what we have been preached.
yeah,
like
it's pretty unfortunate.
Like, why is that? Why is exactly the opposite is taught in internet regarding the injury recovery? Because I've seen many of these athletes getting injured and all that, and they're doing things wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I still don't know why they're doing it wrong. And I can't blame them because with so many years of experience, even I was taught wrong regarding injury recovery. And it was then, when you start, we started working and I started reading and all that, then I understood, okay, it's quite opposite what people have to this thing. I want you to talk on that. Like especially, I want you to talk on Clinton's injury. He was like, I know some unnatural athletes recover very fast, but this guy recovered very fast, and he was just like brand new Clinton for me when he came on the mat. What was the strategy? How did you do it?
See, to answer your question first, why is it like that? I feel this whole narrative of body being extremely weak, fragile is being promoted. People have no idea what their bodies are capable of.
True, true.
I mean, we have lived in some horrible conditions in the cave. We have evolved to be what we are today. And unfortunately, suddenly the environment has gotten very comfortable and safe. And again, we spoke about adaptation, strength adaptation, you remember?
Yes, yes.
And suddenly that need for adaptation is not there. This does not mean the body is not capable. It just means that your mind is not capable of doing certain things. So say for example, if somebody has back pain, right? I deal with certain people. I ask them to start moving and start exercising. It's very easy to do that. And that's also the reason why Clinton recovered so fast and always recovers so fast. He trusts me, and again, he knows that he has to get moving, he has to get stronger and things like that. But you talk to somebody who hasn't been through this process before, and he'll be like, are you crazy? I'm in pain, and you're asking me to start moving and start exercising. But I'm oversimplifying it. It's not as simple as
Yes.
But you get the idea,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The shift from everybody asking them to protect, and here I am asking them to put them in a situation that actually got them in that situation in the first place. So usually I love doing this in rehabilitation. I ask them, what got you injured? Usually they'll be like, oh, I was deadlifting and I injured my back. I'll make sure that exercise is right there.
You made me do squats also, I remember. First day, I was like so scared. And I was thinking, why am I doing squats now? Because that was the injury. But yeah, it's crazy. But like coming to the point again, like why is it like the opposite literature has been taught on internet? Why is that? Like I am not able to understand still. Like why?
I think I can right away come up with two reasons. One I feel is the fear of pain.
Okay.
People have been taught to fear pain. And secondly, like I said, this narrative of body being frail, it not having that ability to recover and get back is being promoted.
Yeah.
So that's why you go to a regular doctor and he's going to tell you, don't do it. Say, for example, if you tell him,
oh my God, yeah.
Hey, you know what, I'm doing this and it's hurting my knee, he'll be like, it's pretty simple, just don't do it.
Yeah, because in our gym, if any of the guys gets injured and if he is a regular client, then I'll be like, okay, you can go to doctor. But for example, he's someone like an athlete and all that, the first thing I tell him, do not go to the doctor. Because he will come up with some disease where you cannot recover. Because we have such injuries which is, imagine an office going guy, his finger breaks or his nose breaks, it's over. But we have to recover and we are waiting in 2 or 3 weeks, we have to get back because we do not have a choice. But like, yeah. So, yeah, please go ahead.
But just to complete this, majority of the doctors are like that. There are some doctors who are aware and who are really good. So I don't want to discredit them
obviously.
either.
Of course.
So not always you'll get that. In fact, I remember we were jumping from doctors to doctors when I had the back injury. There was one doctor who said, this is nothing. You're going to get back and get back to your sport. This happens.
Generally, these doctors are like sports something?
So usually they'll have an athletic background. They are probably athletes and they've been through such situation and they know what body is capable of doing.
Yes. Even when we were going through a couple of doctors with one of my athletes, everybody were like so negative about it. Then one athlete said, okay, you can recover this, and he recommended physio, and that was the right guy before I met you. So, but yeah, so generally, like, my next question is like, see, because MMA has grown so much in India and now it's it's crazy in India, and there are a lot of athletes who do not have access on good coaches also. But before they have access on good coaches, they, like, when they train and they train wrong, and when they train wrong, they get injured. So now injury recovery is the most important thing.
Absolutely. It's the
How
key.
do these guys, how can an athlete who stays in, who stays outside the city, like somewhere very far, who doesn't have access or money that time, how can he at least get a basic idea to recover himself? Because he just goes to the doctor, and that's the same thing which I believed in, and I understood it's not the right way to recover. So how what are the options available for such guys?
It's very tough. I'm just putting myself in his shoe. So I'm not in a big city. I'm in some corner of the town, and there's this incredible pain in my knee or some joint that has happened after grappling, or one kick or that punch that I threw. Uh, I mean, he has to meet somebody like me who does what I do. It's very tough for me to imagine him doing things by himself and getting back to the mat. I'm not saying it's not possible.
Yeah, it's hard because it can be the same question like the guy is staying somewhere in remote. He wants to be the best fighter without a coach. It's hard. It's actually quite frankly, it's impossible.
It's impossible. It's tough. See, the first thing that goes through when somebody is experiencing pain is panic. They want to know what has happened to my back, what has happened to my elbows, and when they see them when they are suffering in pain, it's going to negatively affect their family members as well. They'll be like, "What the hell are you doing? You have to stop this madness. You would have been fine if you hadn't gone there." That's the idea. Although it's wrong, we'll
Correct,
discuss why
correct.
it's wrong. But so it's an incredible battle to fight.
I remember, I would say, I think when we were athletes and all that, any injury was the end of the career.
It was the end of the career. Exactly.
Like literally any injury was the end of the career. If someone breaks their nose in kickboxing and boxing, it was fine. But something happens to the shin, something happens to the elbow, the career is over. Like my friends have quit like that.
Exactly.
And in today, people break their shin bone, and they're still back in 1 year.
Exactly.
It is advanced so much.
Yes.
And it's all because of guys like you. And
Thank you.
I know, because I wanted to do this podcast from long time. I wanted people to know you, because I think I'm not sure about everywhere, but I'm very sure that Reuben, you are one of the rare personality in this domain in MMA. So because I have access on a lot of like doctors and all that, you're the best one which I have like worked with. Personally, I have good experience, and also because I keep, like, we keep discussing about Clinton and all that.
So, and that's the reason I always get triggered when I see something online being some misinformation, and I'll be after it. I'll be like, no, this.
I keep watching
this
your
is
Instagram
rants
stare.
and things sometimes.
No, I
Yes.
totally understand. Even I have that habit of ranting it on Instagram story.
Because what that happens is, say, a young athlete is reading some sort of misinformation. Like, I remember the last reel that really triggered me. They're like, BJJ is destroying your joints. I'm like, no, you'll be in a lot of pain when you're doing BJJ, but it doesn't mean that. See, the idea is people think that pain is a damage indicator, but it's not. It's more of a protective mechanism, and more often than not, it's overprotective.
Okay.
You understand, right? It's similar to getting punched. Say, for example, when I started kickboxing, a small jab, and suddenly my brain is like, my God, it's so painful and uncomfortable. But you just keep doing it, and over a period of time, the same stimulus will result in a much.
Yes, yeah, you get used to it. Yeah.
You get used to. Our body
Yeah.
adapts so well to these stresses, and so it's a similar thing that's happening with pain as well. It's not just because your toes are hurting or your fingers are hurting or your elbows are hurting doesn't mean you have done significant damage. More likely, I know there have been cases where the tendon just comes off, there's a complete tear, but these are, it's so rare. In a decade of me working with these, it's such a rare incident where a bicep is completely torn and comes off
it's very rare
after a hook or anything. It's usually just the tendonitis that needs some loading, and we'll probably have to talk in detail some other time in detail about these kind of injuries.
Definitely. I think we should definitely do one more podcast completely related on injury, because injury is such a vast topic.
It's a huge topic, yes.
I think we should definitely do a second podcast on that, Reuben.
Definitely. And we spoke about strength, but we didn't speak about hypertrophy.
Yes, actually.
So yeah, it's. I just want to clarify this as well. So there's another myth that goes around that don't gain too much muscle mass. It's going to impact your performance negatively. Definitely a myth. Generally, hypertrophy has a general positive effect on strength, but it depends on the program. Say, for example, an athlete, when he strength trains, it's not like he's gaining only strength. There will be a hypertrophy adaptation.
Correct, true, very true.
As well.
Yeah.
So when that happens, it does help in him producing more force, which can never be wrong in a sport.
Okay. No, because when you said that, I related to someone who was like bodybuilder. They have huge muscles, but when we grapple with them or like when we use strength, I like generally didn't feel the strength. And I'm like a thin guy. Like I'm physically very strong. Like now, probably not so much, but I'm still very strong. So yeah, that's what like when you said it's a myth, I didn't understand. Okay, because obviously I've met bodybuilders who are my friend, they are strong, but I've seen some of the guys are not strong, but they have big muscles.
Exactly.
Like why is that exactly?
Because for hypertrophy, like I told you, for strength you need to start getting good at producing strength, producing force.
Correct.
With hypertrophy, the program relies on volume.
Correct. True.
Not on force production. Say, for example, you pick 5 kilos and you do multiple repetitions, say 12 repetitions. It's 5 into 12 is equal to whatever that is the key for hypertrophy. So by looking at muscles, you don't know what kind of program that person has been through. As he picked up moderate weights and really packed volume, that is resulting in his hypertrophy, or is it a result of strength combined with
true.
hypertrophy? So intensity is the king when it comes to strength, and volume is the king when it comes to hypertrophy.
True, very true. Reuben, there are some athletes who gas out very quickly, like say classic example is Conor McGregor. So he's very explosive in the initial round, then after that he gets tired. Is there any strategy to build a cardiovascular capacity, like to increase their cardio? And like I think personally, when I was an athlete, I was also one of them. Explosive, very explosive. I was very fast. I was actually, still people remember me as being very fast and strong, but I'll get gassed out, man. I'll get gassed out.
So the thing here is, I spoke about the general guidelines where it's 150 to 300 minutes of steady state cardio and all these things. Here where it gets a little more specific for athletic conditioning. So to first understand why they are gassing out, we have to understand energy systems. So there are 3 types of energy systems. One is, say, I'll explain it in layman terms. Say you're an athlete, you kind of rock your opponent, and now you can finish him. You go with the bursts of energy. That's your ADP-CP system. That's your creatine phosphate rich is really firing. The positive about this particular energy system is that it's very explosive but gets over really, really quickly.
That's correct. Yes, true.
So this is one aspect of it. Second aspect is, say, when you're grappling for position. What happens is, this is where, say, anaerobic endurance comes into picture. It's not a few seconds, but you can go for, say, roughly less than 3 minutes. You can fight.
Okay.
And after that, you gas out. And then there's aerobic system, which can literally go on for a very, very long time. That's what keeps the game going and marathon running. And this is what it means by working on specificity. What I do is usually with an athlete, I notice where is he lacking. Is he lacking in one particular energy department? Like I said, is it the aerobic or anaerobic or the ATP system?
Yeah.
And these can definitely be worked on in an SNC program. You can program exercises in a way that loads that system, where you get that response and that adaptation which will drive this as well. I don't want to go into details, but we did speak about this with regards to Clinton, and we knew exactly what has to be done.
Yes.
And we immediately, in a few months' time, we saw the
changes.
the changes.
I was about to say, but then I didn't want to disclose the things what we discussed. But
Yes.
like this is very interesting. You can focus on increasing someone's ATP capacity also.
Absolutely. You can increase your anaerobic endurance. You can work on their aerobic endurance. You can work on all these
Aerobic
things.
is something I think everyone knows, but ATP, so the thing is, like people who don't know aerobic, guys with good aerobic system is someone like Nate Diaz. He can continuously go. He
Yes.
cannot explode.
Exactly.
I think ATP kind of a fighter, I think it's explosive. I think it's Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
I don't know
Perfect
whose example I'll give. Anaerobic.
Mike Tyson.
Anaerobic, yeah.
Yeah.
Explosive keeps going.
Explosive, but can't keep going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
That will fall into ATP category, right? ATP category.
No, it's which is explosive. ATP-CP
yeah.
system
What
is really
how,
good.
how do you define anaerobic? Aerobic is something like marathon. ATP is something like who's explosive, Conor McGregor or Mike Tyson and all that. And how do you
400-meter run, anything that lasts less than say 3 minutes.
anaerobic?
Anaerobic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that is something in MMA.
Yes, but with
Majority.
all this being said, there's always genetics in the background that's playing a role. So to understand this, we need to understand the fast twitch, slow twitch muscle fibers as well, the type 1, the type 2, and so on. So what happens is, if somebody has a majority of the composition is fast twitch muscle fibers, this guy is going to be very good at very high force production, which is very explosive, like somebody like Mike Tyson, but they're going to be pretty bad in taking the
I have
fight.
good examples of people in my team.
Yeah, and if it's slow twitch, they're going to have certain strengths, but this doesn't mean that they can't work on these energy systems. They can work on, but there'll always be that tendency of
I've heard
these
that
things
if you work on something, it will you lose other thing, or is it like you can grow both simultaneously? Is it possible? Generally, as a coach, how do I develop my fighters? For example, this guy is like explosive. I create his game according to that, and someone who can go very long, I create a game according to that. So if you see, all my fighters are very different, but systematically, and like, can you build both of these together? What I've heard is like if you increase one, this will decrease. How true it is?
to some extent. So there's a lot of debate as to how much can that be changed, and we don't have a definite answer. Say, for example, it seems like out of 100, say 50% of the fibers are, say 80% of the fibers are super fast twitch or fast twitch, and the 20 are slow twitch in a particular individual. We don't know what percentage can be changed through training. Say somebody is born with this particular sequence that I just spoke about, and he trains in a way that is primarily focused on developing slow twitch. How much of this fast twitch will convert into slow twitch, we don't really have
data.
a definite answer, but it looks like training does matter. That's without a doubt. We just don't know the percentage. But with that being said, what I saw in MMA is that you can be pretty successful with pretty both.
Like I have not seen anyone, or I have not even made an attempt to change the fast twitch guy to slow twitch or slow twitch to fast. when generally, for example, I don't want to discuss how Clinton is. We definitely don't want to discuss how Clinton is. But
everybody
what
knows.
What Clinton has, the capabilities are. I build his game according to that.
Exactly.
Shams is a little bit different. I build according to that. So, for example, if you see the way they both fight is also different.
Different.
So
exactly.
I have like for example, in my team, I have a guy named Abdul. So he is in a specific. He has a certain type muscle, and other thing is low. So his game is built like that, and there are sort of guys like Ajay. Like it's a different, but I can't even think. Like for me, changing fast to twitch to slow twitch is like thinking like Khabib fighting like Conor or Conor fighting like Khabib. It's like it's very hard. I don't know.
Just can't happen. Just respect the game and continue building on your strengths rather than being worried. But you can always work on certain things.
If I can disclose a little bit, like Clinton has like obviously he dominates in one category, but he shows signs of both. For me, I don't know in training how, like in training, like in kickboxing and BJJ, he shows a sign of both. Obviously, he's dominant in one side a lot, but he shows a sign. Is it because of the training or something? Or I don't know.
He works really hard on his weaknesses.
Okay.
So, for example, he knows that this is the area that is going off, and he's not there quite.
It's just the weakness is not there now.
Work.
The weakness we discussed 2 years back. It's just not there. It's just not there. It's just not there.
We made some adjustments and saw how it worked, and
it's not there. Yeah,
brilliantly. But it's pretty unfortunate that after his retirement we can go into details about
that's what I was thinking. I can't open up on that. So,
what worked, what didn't work in training is fascinating.
But you're doing a fabulous job with Clinton, man. I am like, I don't know if viewers don't know, both of these guys are best friends. I think you guys studied in same school?
Yeah, same school. Best friends in second grade.
From second standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Clinton is just too lucky to have you and too lucky to have me also.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a coach, I respect you so much. I feel Clinton is really fortunate to have you as a coach. And one of the luxuries that I feel Clinton has is he can talk to you as a friend. Say, a lot of athletes don't have that luck. They have to treat their coach as somebody who's untouchable. You can't talk to them. You have to think 100 times because there's always this worry that he's going to flip. What if you say something wrong? But you and Clinton can literally go out, have beers together, discuss everything. And that is, I swear, that's a blessing.
I think where I failed in my career is because of this restriction put in this system. So, for example, when I started ICSA, I had a lot of contradictory ideas. Like I didn't want to bring this belt system, in grappling, this belt system.
Yeah.
I never wanted to bring into that this thing. So initially, for example, I have boys from Bihar. So what their habit is to do, which is not wrong, and catching the feet and all that. I really am against it. Not like, as like traditionally I go and catch everyone's feet and all that when I go to Mangalore. But I don't want my athletes to do that because I kind of the thing is, when I was a fighter, I've seen these athletes who will bow down in front of the coach and they'll catch feet, but they'll abuse him.
Yeah, exactly.
I was very scared. So I was like, okay, just be like a friend. Whatever you feel like, just tell me.
Exactly.
Be very clear.
Yes.
And I think that bad experience, because of that, I keep things very clear. And also, I think Clinton and me, I don't know, like he's a funny guy for me. I cannot take him seriously. I don't know. Yeah, there are a lot of things which I can't even speak. But yeah, man, like I think Clinton is in a sweet spot. He is definitely in good hands because in our sports, the major problem is injury. And a guy like Clinton who I personally believe that Clinton is the only Indian MMA athlete who has fought every damn tough opponents out there. But people have not recognized it. Like starting from the first guy to the last guy, everybody were good. But it is never... The thing is, in MMA, what happens is in MMA industry right now, we have this media, MMA media. They're very biased to their region, or the community or whatever they are. So that is where Clinton is left out. But look at it. Clinton is number one pound to pound guy
Number
in
one.
country.
I'll tell you one more fascinating thing about Clinton. I've spoken to a lot of athletes, and they somewhere deep within they fear their opponents. They'll say something, say to the media or elsewhere, but if you speak to their very closed one, they'll say, I'm scared of this guy. And till date, Clinton has never. I've asked him, "Are you scared of?" He's he's never said that he's scared. In fact, he told me once that I'm scared of a lot of other things, the crowd and the noise and everything else. But then I see the opponent and I calm down. I was shocked. I was like, he told that once. I saw this guy and I'm thinking, is this the guy in front of me? I have to just beat this guy and it's done.
No, I'm like,
Okay.
I personally believe, I've told that in multiple interviews that, people think, oh, this is the best performance of Clinton. Every damn time, whenever he fights, I'm never happy. After this last fight also, I had a face which I was not happy because I don't know why he took it. So, like, he took the round. Obviously, his opponent was very good fighter, but like, people don't understand. Okay, that's not the best Clinton fighting.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Remove the lights.
Yes.
Remove the camera.
Yes.
That guy is something else.
Yes.
That guy is something else. That is the reason I always tell Clinton, you bring the best guy in the gym, you'll beat him.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
beat him. I can, like, I have had people who are 4 to 5 weight classes above him, so-called the best grappler of that time, couldn't touch him. In fact, he was beating him. And the dude is white belt. Dude is a white belt in BJJ because I am a white belt in BJJ. I think one thing after the last fight, when we were in hospital, he asked me, how was the performance? I didn't say anything because I was not happy.
He was not happy.
Then he told, you know what, this time, my all fear is over, like this light and all that. And I was like, are you sure about it? Are you sure? Are you gonna fight the same way how you do it in the gym? It's just in the gym he's untouchable, man.
Exactly.
Like, I have guys
I
to
had a
heavyweight.
question for you actually.
Yeah.
Based on the same topic, they say if you want to know how good a fighter is, ask his teammates, people who spar with him, what they think of him. And I remember after the Hyderabad fight, I spoke to his teammates who were there, and what they tell about him is unbelievable. The amount of respect people who spar Clinton have for him is just unreal. And it's not like you just talk to every fighter like that, right? You have posted that multiple times as well. I'm telling Clinton is the best ever.
I'll tell you, for that guy, I don't remember which MFN it was. I took the mic and I was shouting to the crowd because I was so angry. Like, what happens is people come and meet me, okay, and they hugely respect me, okay, but they can't understand a simple thing. How blind you can be. I am shouting on top of my throat, taking the mic inside the ring and telling that this guy is the pound-to-pound number one guy. At that time, when Clinton just started his career, before he even fought his first MMA fight, I told him, you're the best. I know what I'm talking about. People hate me for that. Literally, people hate me for that. But he is the best Indian MMA fighter right now in India. I don't see anyone coming from bottom also.
Close, not even close.
See, I don't know what is going to happen in future, injury and all that. But Clinton, game-wise, work-wise, work ethic-wise, and mentality-wise, is just too perfect, and is a gift of God. Because see the people who's surrounded also. He's like in a perfect spot. The only thing what is lacking in Clinton is people don't want to accept that he's the best. They'll bring some guy, some flyweight, no disrespect because they are all fighters. I really respect them. But when like these same fighters, they'll come and talk and like, Jitesh, so you're the best coach and all that. And I'm telling, Clinton is the best. Like, look at my stable, okay? What kind of a fighters I have? Like, I have all the top fighters in India right now. But I'm saying Clinton is the best I have. People still don't want to respect that.
Look at the way this guy recovers from injury.
Oof.
I know that, of course, he does have access to what has to be done, and still you have to go through that path. And the way he goes through and comes back with absolutely, and that's what we are focused on as well. I always talk about building resilience with my athletes. I always talk about building robustness, toughness, and we have developed in such a way that he's never in doubt. He'll never feel I have to do 100 things for my particular joint to heal or anything. He just knows what has to be done. He does exactly that. And he gets back on the mat. And I rarely see a fear.
True. And is it because he was staying at the top of the mountain of that? I always keep asking him, okay, if tomorrow I have kids, I'll send him over there, let him stay there. Probably he'll also. But what it is, man, it's so much genetics or what? Like, I have so many genetically gifted guys. I have a lot of people, but genetically gifted guys are very weak here
Mentally.
And this guy is. I generally joke around that he doesn't have brain, but I know he's perfect in all the department, and
it's so maddening that the first time that his leg injury happened, he didn't know what happened.
I'll tell you.
Until the X-ray came out.
Exactly. I'll tell you one thing, okay. In fact, today only someone sent me video of someone getting a calf kick and breaking the bone, and he's giving up. It's a PFL fight or something.
Yes.
And I've seen so many guys, when they get calf kick, they leave. This guy completes the fight. First round, his leg is broken. 3 rounds he fight, and he's standing. And when I'm going to congratulate him, he's telling, I broke my leg. And I'm like, where? And he's telling, no, I broke my leg. And he tells Ajay is like, we thought, okay, he's like, I broke my leg and all that. Damn, I saw the X-ray and I was like, damn,
it's a complete
this guy's a dog, man. Like, I'm telling you, he's just too gifted. Like, too gifted.
Talk about pain tolerance and pain threshold. What he told me was he kicked, he knew, he got to know something bad has happened. Immediately he returned with a kick with the same leg.
That is Clinton.
It's like, my God, something has happened. Immediately I got to... It's like that video of, I think it was GSP talking to his coach, telling him that his groin is pulled.
Hit him with
hit him with the groin. This guy is like, my leg is broken, I'm going to hit him with the broken legs.
Oh God. No, I really want to disclose the things, what happened, where exactly happened. But we cannot, is because he's active. The day he retires, I really want to talk.
All those hospital stories, I swear, that needs to be told to the world.
He's like a funny guy.
So this guy is as tough as they come, and it's not just with Clinton. For me, at large, I want to promote this approach and narrative that the body is extremely resilient, extremely strong. And you think these characters don't just help an athlete; it helps somebody who's, say, it could be your mother or dad who's not able to climb stairs because of knee pain.
Yeah.
It's shocking that it's a similar approach that they need. So
I've seen you helping your mother. I saw some videos. Like, you're working. What's your mother's age?
She's 72.
Okay. Like, you were. I think she was. I don't remember. She was doing some exercise.
Deadlifting, squatting.
Right? Yeah, I think I saw the squats or something.
Yeah.
That is cool, man. That's very cool.
So, a lot of fascinating stories. And like I said, rehab stories are plenty. And for the majority of my career, I didn't feel like documenting it or talking about it. I just felt it's my job. So I just put my head down, do it, and just move on. But after a while, I remember having this conversation with somebody who said that I think it has to be much bigger. People have to know how it's done. Not for you, but for the majority of the people who are suffering from these conditions. I mean, the age of disability, if you want to talk about, at what age people are not being able to do some basic stuff, it's coming down rapidly.
Yeah, true. Very true.
At 40, you see some men who are just not able to do some pretty normal stuff. So people are be like, I'm fine. Existing is not fine. It's what you're physically capable of doing. It's the health span that we speak about. It's not just the lifespan that we speak about. And for that to happen, people got to have the qualities that this guy show, not just in the ring, but outside as well. I tell my clients whenever they do complain of, they tell, oh, I've torn my ACL, can I get back to my sport? I'll be like, 100%, you can if you do the things right. And this guy sets an example of how it's done.
Actually, yeah, like generally my new fighters, I always keep giving example of this guy and Sham, like for hard work, he's a hardworking guy, and this guy. These are the two pillars in my team to set examples. But yeah, it was great having you, Reuben.
Thanks,
okay,
thanks,
we'll definitely do a second podcast
Definitely.
completely on rehabilitation, like injury
I think
rehabilitation.
we have to do rehabilitation, injury prevention.
Yeah, injury prevention.
We speak exclusively about MMA conditioning the next time.
Yes, we'll do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That would be
Depending,
perfect.
we'll talk exclusive. This time I was a little confused. Are we talking to a beginner MMA guy or an advanced athlete?
I had to keep questions related to things where the beginners fighters understand. In the next podcast, I think people will go through this and they will understand. And I think we can come up with the questions which is like, I think general public will not understand. I personally think so. That is the reason I wanted you to go through the things which is like for the beginners, because generally when I'm doing podcast, I want to do podcast not for the high level guys, because they have kind of access on all these things, but the guys I keep getting messages from from Northeast, I get messages from Bhutan, from Nepal, I get messages from Afghanistan also, Sri Lanka and all that. So these majority of these boys are in a remote location. They have dream, but they don't know how to do it. And generally, it's hard for me also to help. But also, at least through this podcast, if they get injured, as I said, career is over. So that has to change, and they have to kind of get access on this knowledge.
True.
Through you or through someone, but they don't have a choice. So through this podcast, I really want people to understand the basics of injury and knowing it. And in second part, we'll cover this in very detailed manner.
Definitely.
Okay.
We will. Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot,
so much. Thank you so much,
Jitesh.
Reuben.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.